One of the most important questions that you need to ask yourself as a follower of Christ is, are you committed? Are you truly committed to the Lord? And are you willing to do what the Lord calls you to do in order to be his follower? Because the only way you are going to be able to make those certain sacrifices or do certain things in this walk with Christ is if you are truly committed to the Lord. If you think about anything that you commit to, whether that be education, whether that be a marriage, whether that be anything in this life that you commit yourself to, you're going to have to change your whole way of life. You're going to have to sacrifice something because commitment takes sacrifice. So even if you are committed to something bad, like scrolling on social media or being lazy, if you are committed to being lazy, then you are sacrificing your goals. But if you are committed to working hard, then you're sacrificing that comfort. And so you choose what you are committed to based on what you want in your life. So you have to ask yourself, what am I committed to? And is this the end result that I want? And that's how you're going to get that desire to cut off lust. That's how you're going to get that desire to start reading the word even when you don't feel like it. That's how you're going to desire to start living that successful life that you have been wanting. It starts off by commitment. And that's why the word tells us that we must be willing to let go of father and mother in order to be a disciple of Christ, because Jesus is looking for commitment, willing to let everything go and leave for him. Just like you leave for college, just like you leave and change, like you leave your family for college, you leave everything for college. You even go in debt for college. That's how much people are committed to education. They are willing to lose all their money. They're willing to lose, to leave their family. They're willing to do all of this stuff so they can change their life. When God is saying, just leave everything and come to me and commit to me, and I will give you everything that you need. Seek the kingdom first and all its righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you. And so that's why in this video, I'll be talking about the 5 ways that you can know that you are truly committed to the Lord and how you can actually commit to the Lord so that you can truly change your life. Before we get into the video though, if you are someone struggling to commit to the Lord, I have made a free course helping you overcome temptation, helping you commit to the Lord. And it's a community filled with people who can also help you grow closer to Christ. If you want to join that, the link is down in the description. And the first way that you know that you are truly committed to the Lord is if you are willing to sacrifice anything and everything. Meaning that if God convicts you of something, that you are going to be willing to let that go. Like no matter what it is, a relationship, no matter if it's, a game you like, something that you really enjoyed, it doesn't matter what it is. If God is telling you to cut off something, then you are going to be willing to do it or let that go if you are truly committed to the Lord. And to even add on to that, you also won't even try to get close to sin. You won't try to get as close to sin as possible, meaning you are willing to make certain sacrifices, like you won't be on your phone as much anymore. You won't watch certain shows. You will cut off anything, even if it's not directly said in the Bible that it's a sin. You are going to be willing to cut that off because you know that it doesn't glorify God. It doesn't bring you closer to God, and it may be drawing you away from God. And so if you don't have that mindset to where, if this is causing me to sin, then I want to cut it off, then you may not be truly committed to the Lord. Because if you can ask yourself, would God want me doing this, and yet you do it anyway, then that can prove right there that your heart isn't committed to the Lord. Because if it was, then you wouldn't be doing it. Because you already know God doesn't want you doing it, but yet you continue to do it anyway. So that's why it's important that you make up your mind that you are truly committed to God. Because once you make up that in your mind, that is when you'll make certain sacrifices. Just like that. And the second way to know that you are truly committed to the Lord is if you are willing to do anything for God. That means you're willing to work hard. You're willing to go out and spread the gospel, even if it feels uncomfortable. You're willing to get out of your comfort zone, because that's what God is asking for us to do. If you think about Moses, when he called Moses to free the Israelites out of slavery, that took the most out of Moses. It got him out of his comfort zone because he thought he couldn't speak. He thought he couldn't be a leader. He thought that he wasn't worthy enough to be called by God. But God called him anyway. He likes to call those who are unqualified because he qualifies them. He knows that they will be humble and they won't be prideful and think they're doing it with their own strength. And so that's why he may get you out of your comfort zone, because in your comfort zone, that's when you think you can do it without God. But when you get out of your comfort zone, you have to rely more on God. And so that's why it's important to commit to the Lord, because God will take you out of that comfort zone so that he can use you for his glory. But again, Moses had a stuttering problem then, but even in the midst of that, God used him. And that's how God will use you if you are willing to commit to him. That brings me to the first point I made about the result of actually committing to God or committing to anything. The reason why you commit to anything is because of the result. And so if you are struggling with any of these things, committing to or sacrificing certain things or doing whatever God is telling you to do, if you're struggling with that and you're struggling to commit to the Lord, you have to look at the end result. And we already know that putting God first in your life ends up in the best life possible. Maybe not here on this earth, but obviously in eternity. But we also have to know that God wants to give us good gifts even here on this earth. He wants us to work, because if God didn't want us to have a successful life, he would just tell us to, be lazy. He would tell us to not do certain things. But he tells us to work hard. He tells us to provide for a family. He tells us to make sure we can provide for our children's children. He wants to make sure that we have plenty in this life. But we know that road isn't easy, and it doesn't always look like it's going to turn out the way that you think it is. So that's why it's important to have faith, because even if you go to college and it doesn't seem too right, or you go work out and you start a workout journey, or you get committed to a marriage, whatever it is, none of those things are going to look right at first. They may have times where you think you want a divorce. There may be times where you think you want to give up on the workout because you don't think it's working. There may be times where the education, there may be times where you think you want to switch majors and you think that you picked the wrong major, or you think you're going to fail. You may want to flunk out sometimes. There's always going to be bad things to whatever you commit to. There's always going to be a rocky road or a storm that comes your way. But even through the storms, you must have a strong foundation. And that's why it's important to commit to God, because that is your foundation, is your commitment to the Lord. And the Lord is going to be able to keep you strong as long as you are continuing to have faith and are continuing to commit to him. And the third way that you know you are committed is if you are being sanctified. You see, a lot of people think that because you are willing to let something go, that you are going to cut that thing off right away. No, being sanctified is a process. So even if you are struggling with certain things, like you're willing to give up lust, you're willing to give up a relationship, and yet you haven't done it yet, being sanctified is being in the process of letting those things go. So if you find yourself getting better, more and more, getting farther away from that relationship, getting farther away from lust, getting farther away from anything that you're not willing to sacrifice, then that's how you know you are being sanctified. And that's how you will know you are actually committed. Because obviously, when you're committed to a workout, you don't start seeing results right away. You may not be as disciplined at first, but because you are committed, you are going to get better even when you do fall, even when you miss a day, even when you stop eating as well as you're supposed to. You cheat on your diet a couple times. You won't do that next week. You won't do that the next week or after that. But you will continue to be sanctified. You'll continue to be better. Well, it's the same thing in this walk with Christ. Even if you are committed to the Lord, that's not going to make you perfect. Even if you are committed to anything in this life, that's not going to make you perfect. But being committed means you are going to fight even when it gets hard. You're going to fight against those desires. You're going to fight against anything that God is telling you. You're going to fight for God's way. And how you know you are fighting is if you are truly reading the word, seeking the word every day, trying to get an understanding how God wants you to live. Because it's not about, fighting these temptations. It's not about fighting lust. It's not about doing all of these things to try to, become stronger in your own flesh. But it's about growing closer to Christ and growing in love with Christ, because love is the opposite of lust. So anything that the flesh is telling you to do what God is telling you to do, because the spirit is contrary to the flesh. So if you are seeking the spirit, then you won't gratify the desires of the flesh. So all you have to do is keep your eyes on God, keep your eyes on growing closer to him, loving him. And that is when you know that you are committed, because your eyes is on God and your eyes isn't on the things of this world. So commit to God, commit to growing closer to him, understanding him more, feeling his spirit, growing your relationship with him. And then that's when you'll be sanctified and be willing to let those things go. And lastly, the last way to know that you are truly committed to the Lord is if you surrender, meaning you surrendered every single thing. Meaning if you want to go to that party, you're going to say no to that party. If you want to go cut somebody out because you're getting angry at them, or you feel like they did you wrong, then you know you're not going to do it, because you're supposed to love your enemies. You're supposed to live like Jesus now. That is how you know that you are surrendered to God. When you say no to your flesh all the time, you're dying to your flesh every single day. When you're carrying that cross, when you're walking, even when it gets hard, you keep on going. That's how you know that you have truly surrendered to God. And when you are committed to God, it becomes easy to let go of certain things. It becomes easy to surrender certain things. And also, when you are surrendered, you're willing to obey God by all means possible, meaning you are willing to let things go. You are seeking daily to try to find things to help you grow stronger and closer to Christ, to get rid of sin in your life, so that you can have a clean heart each and every day. You're not holding grudges on people. You're forgiving people. You're more forgiving. You're willing to give in certain situations, even when it's hard. And all of this comes with trust. Because if you don't trust God, you're not going to be willing to commit to him. You're not going to be willing to surrender to him. The word says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, and acknowledge him in all your ways, and he'll make your path straight. Well, if you are not trusting in God, then your path won't be made straight. You'll be confused. You'll always be anxious. You'll always wonder, is this going to come? Am I going to be provided for in this area? And then that's when you'll hold more grudges in your heart. That's when you will be more mad in certain situations, because you don't think all things are working out for the greater good. So you don't truly trust God. And then that may be the root cause of all your anxiety, your anger, your pride, and different stuff like that. So that's why it's important to surrender. This may be one of the most important parts in order to truly commit to the Lord. Because if you don't surrender your life to working out, to the marriage, or whatever it is, all of that is going to end up in a failure. So what makes you think that if you don't surrender to God, that this relationship with God won't end up in a failure? So yes, make sure that you are willing to surrender everything when it comes to Christ, because that is what God is looking for. Total surrenderance, so that he can actually work through you and work many things that you don't even have any idea about. But you just have to trust him and put your faith in him. So yes, hope this video was a blessing to you. Hope this video edified you. And after this video, ask yourself, am I truly committed to the Lord? If you're not, make that decision today. If you're wondering, like, how can I get to that point where I actually want to commit? Well, you have to ask yourself, what am I committed to, and why am I committed to it right now? Did you commit to a sport? Did you commit to a college? Did you commit to laziness? Why did you do all of that? And also ask yourself, what do you want in your life? Because whatever you want to commit yourself to, do you want peace? Do you want favor? Do you want prosperity? Because the word says, I have plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Because if you want that, you can't also want comfort. You can't also want to do the things of the flesh, because they're contrary to each other. So you have to pick one. Do you want comfort right now and a harder life later? Or do you want it hard right now and want an easier life later? You have to ask yourself these questions. And that is what's going to make you commit. That's what's going to make you commit not only to Christ, but all of the other goals that you want in your life. So yes, hope this video was a blessing to you. Hope this video edified you. And I hope that after this video that you truly make that decision to commit to the Lord, because it will be the best decision that you ever made in your life. I know, because once I did it, it changed my life completely. So yes. Hope this video bless you. Appreciate you for watching. Appreciate for all the support. If you want to support, the link is down below. If not, till next time, as usual. Y'all stay blessed.